Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. I just want to say thank you to all those people last week that made those comments for Frazier. Next week he's starting his chemotherapy, and it's going to be a pretty tough battle. So all those thoughts and prayers hopefully will get answered, and he can make it through this. I was down in San Diego this last week, and I was helping my daughter move into her new place. And when I was taking a little break, I was surfing the internet, and I came across a little post that was quite surprising to me. And it was by Cards and Capital. I'll give you a little taste of it, and if you want to see more, go to their YouTube channel and you can watch the whole thing.
Next up on the list is Doug McCusker. Doug has been around for about 3 years on YouTube. He has about 10,000 subscribers, and he is probably most famous and most well known for his little bit he does where his dog gives him feedback on a hand. So he'll play a hand, and if he feels like it was played badly, his dog will break it down for him and tell him what he should have done differently.
Even the guy at Cards and Capital realizes that I am the star of this show. I should be headlining this vlog. It should be about me. I'm tired of riding in the back of the truck. I want to ride up front. I'm tired of being second best. I want my own channel. I want to be a headliner. That's it. I'm putting my feet down.
How about I just give you all of the leftovers from our prime rib dinner?
Oh, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, deal.
Hey guys, it looks like Zeus is going to be happy with his new arrangement. Don't tell him that it was probably the same as his old arrangement. But we're back at Capital Casino playing in the 1-3 streets. Buying for $500, which is our normal buy-in. There aren't too many deep stacks at this particular table. Maybe we'll get on a table change later on. Depends how things go. Well, things start off a little bit slow. Here I have ace-king suited in the +1 position, raised to 15. I only get one caller. So going heads up to a flop, and it's a pretty good flop. It comes out 8-4 deuce with 2 spades. So I got 2 overcards, nut flush draw. Not likely my opponent connected with that board. I c-bet for 20, and he quickly folds. We have one player that limps in from early position. I got Jack-10 suited. I decided to raise it up to $20. I get a call from the player 2 behind me, and then from the original limper. So we're going to go 3 ways to this flop with $64 in it. Flop comes out ace-8 deuce. There is 1 diamond, but not much going on here. I'm just going to check it, see if anyone wants to take a stab at it. They both end up checking. So when the turn is a deuce of clubs, it's kind of a green light to go ahead and take a stab at this. First person checks again. If they don't have an ace or deuce, they're really not going to be comfortable with their hand. So I'm going to bet 40. They both end up folding, and we win another small one. Well, it seems like we're catching a lot of good cards here. I have ace-king offsuit in the +1 position, raised to $15. Only get called by the short stack in the big blind. Flop comes 9-7-3 with 2 spades. Not much for me. I'm just going to check it back, take a free card, which happens to be a glorious king of hearts. They check it over. Here, I'm going to continue for $20. Probably just take it down here, but they get a little stubborn and put it in the call. River card comes as the ace of diamonds. Hand keeps on getting better and better. They check it over. I bet 40. I think that's about what they have left. Anyway, they grab their remaining stack and stick it in there. End up being $44. So I had to throw in an extra $5 chip to cover it. And aces and kings are definitely good. It's folded me on the button. I have 2 black aces. Definitely going to be putting a raise. Make it $15. Small blind now makes it $55. Now, I don't know this player. He's new to me. Only thing I know about him is he bought him for $700, so I guess he has some experience, and that his name is up for the 5-10 game. Well, I just decided to flat because I figured he's going to keep his aggression if he's like a 5-10 player, being up on 1-3 players. I just call. Flop comes ace-jack-5 with 2 hearts. Yes, it's a really good flop for pocket aces. He checks it. I should probably just bet small, but I decided to check it back and, lay the trap. I figure he had a big hand like kings, queens, maybe even flopped a set of jacks. Turn card is 10 of diamonds. He checks again. With 2 flush draws out there, I got to start putting some money in the pot to protect against those flush draws. So I bet $60. And then he takes a peek at his hand. And then he gathers some chips. And then, yes, he puts in a raise. All right, I'm not in love with my hand already. He makes it 210, so it's 150 more to me. What to do? I got top set. He could be doing this with something like pocket jacks or pocket tens, but there's a lot of ace. There's a lot of king queens in his range, and yeah, I'm not loving it. I just gotta see a river card. The river card comes as another horrible card. It's the 6 of diamonds. So now. Not am I still losing to king queen's hands. I'm now losing to flushes. Say he had ace jack of diamonds because that's the missing ace. He could have had something like ace queen of diamonds, ace king of diamonds. You get the picture. So this gives him more nutted hands, and he thinks again for a while before he decides to jam. No, I'm a little torn here because knowing that he is a 5'10 player, or at least up for the 5'10 game, and that he bought in deeper than most people would, that he is capable of making some sort of move. And he probably doesn't think I am too strong. The thing that really sticks in my craw is that the way I played my hand could easily look like king queen. And if he had a set of jacks or tens or 2 pair or some crazy hand, would he really get this aggressive if I have a lot of king queens in my range? By the way, I played the hand. I didn't bet the flop. I bet when the 10 came. You get the picture. Yeah, it really bugs me that he was not fearful of me having king queen. And I probably should just have found a fold here, because if he's not afraid of king queen, that means he has king queen or could beat king queen. And I make a very loose call, in my opinion. I should have found the fold, and I ship off another $310, and I get felted. Not a good feeling. Well, I reloaded for $500, played for about 20 minutes before finally picking up aces again, this time in the big blind. There's a player who opens for $15. Everyone else folds, and of course, when it gets to me in the big blind, I'm going to raise. I make it $55. You know, being out of position against a player who doesn't open this large unless they have a pretty good hand. So I'm hoping that he has something like kings or queens and then just sticks it in. But he just decides to be a little bit cautious and make the call. Well, one thing I decided right away was that I was not going to be slow playing my aces at all. I'll just put it on fast forward and see what happens. Flop comes out pretty good. King, 8, 6, all clubs. I do have the ace of clubs. If he has pocket kings, so be it. I'm willing to go with my hand. I bet out for $55, which is about half pot. My opponent now thinks for a little while and then does a little speech. You know the speech I'm talking about. And then he decides to raise, a min-raise to $110. Of course, I look back and make sure I have the ace of clubs in my hand. And what could he have? Well, he could have a set of kings. But in this situation, there's no way I'm going to give him any kind of free draw at anything. If he has a hand like king, queen, I don't want him to catch a queen or a king. If he calls, so be it. I decided I'm going to jam all in. He has a little over $200 left after he made it 110. So it's less than a pot-sized bet. I expect him to call here with just about all his hands that he would put in a min-raise with. But he surprises me again by tanking for a long time and finally showing that he is folding pocket jacks with the jack of clubs. So I don't like his raise on the flop, but he did end up making a good fold when I put the chips in. I'm on the button with ace jack offsuit. There was one limper and I raised it up to $20. End up getting 2 callers. So we're going to go 3 ways to this flop. And the flop comes out ace high with a queen and a deuce, and it's all rainbow. So very good flop for ace jack. Unless someone's sitting there with pocket deuces or ace queen, I should be pretty safe. When it's checked me, I'm just going to go with a small C bet for $25. I do get a quick call from the player on my left, and then also from the original limper. Turn card comes is another blank. It's a six of hearts. It does put up a backdoor flush draw, so now someone had a queen of hearts and another heart. They picked up a flush draw. When it's checked to me, I'm not in the mood to, pussyfoot around, and I just decided I'm just going to put in a decent-sized bet, and if they want to play, let them pay. So they both end up folding. I probably should have bet smaller, but I'm happy taking the pot down. I've been studying the player on my left quite a bit. I kind of picked up a pretty good read on him, and I noticed that he is kind of risk averse, you might say, and that he doesn't like when people play back at him. So that's exactly what I've been doing for the last, 20 minutes or so. Whenever I get involved with him, I kind of make some sort of aggressive play, and it's been working out for me so far. Here I raise ace queen to $15. He puts in a call to my left, and everyone else folds out, so it's just the two of us seeing this flop. Flop comes out jack high, which is not great. There's a 6 and a 3 in there. I think I'm just going to check this hand and see what happens on the turn. He does check it back. Turn card comes is a 9 of hearts. Doesn't help me any. I check it again. Now he decides to take a stab at it. He bets $25. And knowing that he is kind of risk adverse, what's the hand that he can have here? He can have a flush draw, a straight draw, or a 9. I can beat a flush draw, I can beat a straight draw, and I can scare the hell out of a 9. So I check raise to $80. So basically I'm just playing my read that he doesn't have a strong hand and that he's a little bit timid against someone playing back at him. I expect him to fold all those hands. He does fold as he flashed ace 9 of diamonds. A little while later, I get 9-6 suited in the cutoff. There is one limper. I raise to 15. The player on my left now makes it 50. Of course, I am going to be calling here. Not because of the quality of my hand, just so much that I know that he doesn't want to, be fighting with anyone. So I'm going to give him a fight. Flop comes out really good for my hand. 5-3 deuce with 2 hearts. So I flop 2 overcards, a flush draw, and a gutter to a straight. I check it over to him with the intentions of check raising his bet. He doesn't disappoint. He leads out for $50. I can tell that he doesn't have a super strong hand, that he probably has some sort of mediocre holding, maybe a small overpair like 7s or 8s, something like that. So naturally, I'm going to be aggressive with this hand because I know he does not care for the someone playing back at him. So I make it 150. I had a couple hands against him that kind of went this way, and I was really expecting him to play back at some point. I figured that either if he calls here, I'm just going to be shoving, and if he shoves on me, I'm of course going to be calling. I got a lot of equity on this hand. But he thinks differently about it and eventually decides that he's just going to let this one go. He kind of said later on that he had a hand. I believe he said he had ace 5. A friend of the vlog just sat down at the opposite end of the table. He kind of gives me a ribbing every once in a while, saying that I play too tight. So I decided to give him action today. So he opens for $15. I got ace deuce of diamonds. On the button, I raise to 45. He lets his hand go, and of course, I have to show him that I had the deuce of diamonds in my hand, just to get under his skin a little. There are a couple players line me in, so we're playing 6 or 7-handed. I got 6-5 suited in the hijack. I opened for a raise to $15. It's folded to our opponent at the end of the table, and he makes it 60. Yeah, this is a very loose call. Even short-handed, it's a loose call. But as I said, I wanted to give this player some action. So I go ahead and I call for the 60, and it's just going to be the two of us to see a flop. Flop comes out 10-5-3 with 2 spades in the clubs. Of course, I got a pair. I got a backdoor flush draw, even a backdoor straight flush draw. He bets big. He bets for 105. Granted, normally I would just fold this, but if you're going to be playing 5-6 and the flop comes like this, you got a pair and some backdoor draws, I'm going to be calling. So that's what I did, and of course I spike a 5. He jams all in. I snap call. He shows pocket 9s, and I show him the 5-6. So I wonder if he still thinks I'm tight. Here again, I have 10-9 suited in the low jack, open for a raise to 15. I get called by a player on my left, and of course my opponent down at the other end of the table, who I just beat out of the last 2 hands. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop with 64 in. That comes 5-5-3 with 2 hearts. Not a good flop for my hand, but it really shouldn't hit someone else too hard. My opponent checks. I said I'm just going to take a stab at this because I'm pretty sure 10 high is not going to be good at this point. First player folds. My opponent at the end of the table calls rather quickly. So I'm shutting this down either as a straight draw, flush draw, or 3 of a kind. So he checks, I check. The flush gets there, he checks again. I'm not going to stab. I can beat a straight draw. I cannot beat a flush draw or a 5. He does show 7-6 of hearts, so I don't win them all. A very tight player limps in, and I got pocket 4s from the low jack. Normally I'd be raising with this hand, but with this particular player, I don't want to reopen the betting just in case they have a real premium and they're going to price me out. So I just put in the call, and so do a couple other players. So we're going to go 5 ways to a flop that comes out King 8-4 rainbow. Perfect flop for pocket 4s. And not only that, my opponent with a very tight range leads out for $25. Naturally, I'm just going to be putting in a call here. We get an overcall from a very short stack on the button. So the 3 of us are going to go to a turn card, which is a 10 of clubs. It does complete the rainbow, so no flush draws out there. Again, my tight opponent bets for $70. I kind of want to get an overcall from the player on the button. I don't want to be putting any raises at this point. So I just decided I'm just going to put in the call and then either put in a raise or a decent sized bet on the river. Person on the button decides that they're going to let their hand go. They only have like, I don't know, $50 left, I think. So we're now heads up going to a river, which comes a 9. Of course, this is a complete blank. I'm putting the person on either ace, king, or king, queen. They check it over to me. Of course, I'm going to be betting. How much will they call with a strong top pair is the question going through my mind. And I decide on $150. Well, they thought about it for about a whole minute before they finally said, I guess. And they put the money in. I show my set of 4s, and of course they're good. I never did see my opponent's hand, but I'm pretty sure they had either ace, king, or king, queen on that hand. Well, I finally fought my way back into the green. My tight opponent raises to $20 after there's a limper. I got pocket aces on the button again. What a sweet surprise this is. I make it $60. It's folded back around to them, and they put in the call. So we're going heads up with someone I assume has either pocket kings or pocket queens. I say kings 80% of the time, queens about the other 20. Flop comes out 8-7 deuce, rainbow, really good flop. I just leave for $40, trying to get them commit the rest of their stack. They only started the hand with about $200. They kind of said something like, well, I'm never going to be folding this. So they compile their chips and slide it on in. Cost me about another $100 to call, so I flick it in. And we're going to get to see a run out. Hopefully it'll come with a couple blanks. But right off the bat, dealer turns and burns and puts up a king. So I'm pretty sure I'm beat. I said nice hand to them. River card comes is a 10. They do roll over pocket kings. And of course I muck my hand. I am thankful that they only had $200 in front of them, so it didn't cost me my entire stack. But it still sucks when you get aces beat by kings. Well, I've been folding for the last hour, and finally I pick up ace-jack offsuit in the cutoff. Putting the raise to 15. I get a call from the player on the button and one player in the small blind. So it's just going to be the three of us headed off to a flop. The flop comes out ace, king, 7, rainbow. Pretty good flop for my hand. First player checks. I'm going to go ahead and continuation bet here. I make it $20. Player on the button decides that he's not going to play anymore, releases his cards. Next player puts in the call. I figure he probably has an ace. Turn card comes as a 10 of clubs. He checks quickly. I'm just going to check this back and go for 2 streets of value. River card comes is a deuce. Really good card for my hand. Again, he checks it. And here I'm going to try to get as much as I can. I figure $60 would be a good bet. He's shown weakness. He might call me with a very ragged ace, or maybe even something as weak as a king itself. So I make the 60. He tanks for a good 2 minutes and finally ends up putting in the call. As he makes the call, he flips over his hand. He had ace 6 offsuit. I show him the ace jack, and we win our final hand of the day. So after playing for about 5 hours, we ended up cashing out a $110 loser. Of course, it's not fun to lose, but it could have been so much worse. I kind of punted $310 with that first hand with pocket aces. And of course, I got aces beat again by kings, but I also got lucky on hands like the 5-6 when my opponent had pocket 9s. So I can't complain too much. Just your average day of poker. For the month, we're right about where we were before, and same thing for the year. I really do appreciate all your support, and thanks for supporting the channel. The viewers voting on the Cards and Capital site is how I got my name on that A list, which is quite a surprise to me. There are much better and more talented poker vloggers out there than myself. So thank you for supporting the channel, and until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.